Hello, gentlemen. This will be round 2 with Keeper of the 7 Keys versus UncertainCat. Vax is here once again to co-commentate with us. No, it looks like Vax decided to play.
Not against these two. No thanks.
Alright, this has the promise to be another exciting game. These two players are both, how would you describe it? I wouldn't say old-timers, but...
I would definitely say UncertainCat back in the first phase of Subcom 2, like the first 6 to 12 months, he was easily one of the top 5 players. Uncertain's thing was to try weird strategies that definitely worked, and a lot of times they could catch unsuspecting opponents off guard. He was one of the first guys to make heavy use of the cicadas, cicada plus air spam in the when the DLC came out. And Keeper is just a solid player overall that's actually made relatively rapid advancement in his skills. I've watched him go from new to rock star in a relatively short amount of time. They're both fantastic players.
Alright, starting with UncertainCat is UEF. He is the green player. Starting with standard opening with the mass extractors, and purple, Keeper of the 7 Keys as the Illuminate, is also opening with his 5 mass extractors and a 6 mass extractors and a factory.
If I had to say, I really think Uncertain. It's been probably a while since he's done tourney play and top level play. I really have a hunch Uncertain maybe feels like he's gonna wing it for the first few minutes and see what's up. I wouldn't be surprised to see a 7 mechs opening from Uncertain.
He has 6, and he's moving his ACU in without building a factory. Yep, there's the 7th mechs. Meanwhile, Keeper is just proceeding with building up his economy, and he's building a factory up by the 2nd mass extractor towards the center, and he will be building mass extractors up along the way as well. And
I couldn't quite tell what Keeper chatted there.
he just was talking about UncertainCat's. He just watched one of his replays versus Iron on this map. Alright,
Nice.
built a forward factory with his ACU, and he's building 2 land factories as well to the rear with his engineers.
Until he ran out of things to shell. I like that comment. Alright, looks like Uncertain's going for a land game.
And yes, Keeper is looking to move towards the middle. He's moving a little further in than UncertainCat is. However, UncertainCat right now is looking to get more factories up on the initial. And
I really like chatter during tournament play like this. It knows you've got 2 relatively easygoing guys. That's pretty cool.
alright, UncertainCat's building a 4th factory. However, he still only has his 7 original mass extractors.
Yeah, that's going to be pushing it a little bit in the long run. But maybe he just wants to get the factory out.
Meanwhile, Keeper is sending the engineer across the north, and it looks like he's just going... no, he's drawing him back. I guess he's sticking with that for now.
I just noticed the same thing.
Meanwhile, Keeper's ACU is moving in with a couple of tanks to build another factory in the center of the map. He's looking like he wants to try and take and hold the center, which on this map is a really good idea to do.
Yeah, he who owns the center on Arctic tends to dictate the pace, unless the person in back backs off and out-techs him. But if that's the case, if you're going to try and back off and out-tech them, you're going to be in trouble because they're probably going to be able to swing to either of the spare corners and start slurping up mass. Kind of like it looks like Keeper's getting ready to do there in the northwest.
Alright, UncertainCat's building a 5th factory. However, UncertainCat
Now it looks like Uncertain could almost move in if he wanted to. He's got slight numbers. Let's see what happens here. Let's see what kind of micro we're dealing with.
And here we go. Looks like Keeper is microing his tanks to keep them out of range of the ACU and pick off the tanks, which is a good thing to do. The ACU, especially in this game compared to Forge Alliance, can really take a beating and be quite easily repaired.
Fact shield, smart move by Keeper, but I think Uncertain's, he's got a, as long as he's careful with his ACU, he might have a slight advantage here. I think he got those factories out early enough to beat him in numbers, so he's just got to be careful.
Yeah, his ACU is red zoning. He's now, unfortunately, he moved his tanks a little too far back, so his ACU took quite a pummeling, but his tanks weren't able to return the favor.
What made all the difference there was that fact shield. Uncertain's going to have to pull an NG off the fact and get some healing going, yep. And I'm sure Keeper will bring an NG up relatively quick here.
Alright, Uncertain sending a couple tanks around to flank. And it looks like he might be able to...
Very, very smart. Very smart.
And it looks like, yeah, he got them away, and he's starting to swing them up north, and he's keeping his main force busy with his other group of tanks. However, yes, Keeper is now going in for the kill.
I am wondering if I'm wondering if either of them are going to try and spike some MMLs. I don't think Keeper can afford to because he doesn't have quite enough tanks up front yet, but I wouldn't be surprised to see something going on from Uncertain. Uncertain might also decide to use some mobile arty here to capitalize on one of the UEF specific techs.
Alright, and those tanks are going to get jump up. Now he's moving out of the way, but I think that force by Keeper will be able to...
And there's our mobile arty.
Yes. Meanwhile, Keeper, zooming out, Keeper has an engineer still proceeding across the top and building more mass extractors. Yeah.
Looks like Uncertain's got an engineer ready to try and start expanding, but
Keeper's
looks
very
like
far ahead of
Keeper's
him.
beat him to it. Keeper's going to have a couple of mechs and be a couple of mechs ahead.
Alright, meanwhile, zooming in onto the battle here, it looks like we've got some skirmishes going, but the ACUs are staying clear of the fire.
Yeah, the arty is going to help push those tanks back, and then he's going to push on the ACU.
Alright, factory shields down. And looks like Uncertain's trying to push in.
I'm feeling Uncertain's gonna get the edge here. He did an outstanding micro job with that arty. Now they're just gonna slowly push it on the facts. I think Keeper needs to pull his ACU back right at this point. I think otherwise it could be a little too late.
Yeah, fortunately, UEF have advantage with the area effect damage with their, especially their demolishers, and unfortunately for the Aeon, they really don't have anything along those lines that can compete.
Keeper's trying to push a small little land blob in on the south part of the base, which I love, but unfortunately right now he's got to be in panic mode.
Yeah, because that main force is definitely dominating in the center, and it looks like Uncertain has enough units to get in there to, I mean, the force to take out that mass extractor, and that's probably it. Meanwhile, Uncertain's sending the rest of his tanks in to continue pressing the advantage.
I'm just really impressed with Uncertain's micro. This is just outstanding. I mean, Keeper's doing a fantastic job too, but Uncertain, he just, in a way, he hasn't really lost his touch.
It looks like Keeper managed to get 4 tanks back into the base, but they're all low on health and they're about to get taken out by his pursuers. Although he might get that last. No, he didn't get the last mass extractor.
Now what's interesting here is Keeper, if Uncertain isn't able to apply pressure, Keeper's got a little bit of a mass advantage, so he's spitting out another land factory right away, and we're back to a 4 facts versus 4 facts situation, although if you look in Uncertain's base.
Yeah, actually Uncertain is just putting up a land gantry, so it looks like with that battle he was able to get enough research points to research a Fat Boy, so if he can get that out, Keeper is going to be in some serious trouble. Unless Keeper can get up to a teleporting with his tanks.
looks like Uncertain doesn't want to bring his engineer back down to the southeast to try and expand there. I like how he's just keeping everything tight. He's stuck in his factories temporarily.
And he has begun production of the Fat Boy with his ACU assisting, so he should have that up and running within a minute.
Now, Uncertain's going to have to be a little bit careful of teleport. I'm not sure. I haven't really been keeping close track of the types of kills that Keeper's got, but Keeper does not have any res stations out, so it'd be interesting to see how close he is to teleport.
His tanks do not have any shields on them, and I don't see any bada booms, so it's kind of hard to it's kind of hard to tell which direction he is researching towards. Oh, nope, there's a bada boom. It popped out of the back factory, so looks like he might be able to get to teleport, although he might be too late.
First Fat Boy's almost done. So the question is can Keeper use his mass advantage to somehow either stave off what Uncertain's got planned and overcome in the long run? I think the problem is based on the offense we're seeing on the board, I don't think... This is kind of the classic example of my theory that the primary most important resource in SupCom 2 is not mass or energy, it's time. And I just simply don't believe that Keeper has enough time, even though he has a significant mass advantage. But I am more than happy to be proven wrong.
He does have mass advantage. However, he is only keeping up with the same amount of factories. If he had been able to produce some more factories to utilize the mass advantage, he would probably have been able to field a lot more tanks. However, the Fat Boy is now in range and is just going to pick away at those front lines.
You know, in a way, a Fat Boy is like a slow-moving long-range PD. It's really a ground holder. It basically says, I don't want you here. And it's forced those tanks to back off, and now he's going to go to work on the structures. So, in effect, it's a long-range, slow-moving PD, and it's also kind of a countdown timer that basically says Keeper needs to come up with something now.
The second Fat Boy is almost 3/4 of the way done, and it's... And UncertainCat has moved some tanks up into the north to try and take out that expansion. And for those who couldn't see the text, Keeper has admitted a good game, although he will fight out to the end.
Now, at this point, Uncertain probably doesn't realize it because his primary focus is putting the heat on, but if he wanted to, he is free to completely expand to the southeast corner. That's something I've noticed when I play Iron, is no matter what Iron is involved with, if he sees free expansion, he will
there's the teleport.
And there's the telly. There's the telly I was wondering about. I was wondering if he was going to try and jump on that Fat Boy.
Well, he might get the ACU there, because it's sitting. Uncertain's desperately trying to get his ACU out of the way of that teleport. But those tanks might... Ooh, this will be a close one. It's actually very similar to the last game we casted with Red Arrow and Polar Bear. Although I think with the Fat Boy in the mix, he might be able to have enough splash to take out the group of tanks. Oh, close. I think...
Yeah, Tella was the one thing. That was Keeper's one shot. That was... He did it. Keeper basically beat the timer. He came up with something, and I think Tella was his only option. Very impressive move.
Yes, I think he had like 3 tanks left. They were just taking one more hit from that Fat Boy. That was a very close win, I have to say.
At that point, I saw Uncertain make only one mistake. I think if I were in his situation with an advantage, I would have brought my ACU way back, knowing that I was against Aeon and knowing that teleport was going to be the most likely last-ditch effort. I think I would have bolted out of there a little bit earlier.
Okay, I'm actually going to launch the replay. Vax, maybe we could stick along and just kind of talk about the game a bit while everybody else is wrapping up the second round. Hey Vax, whenever you get your replay up, we're just going to try and time sync it with mine, just so we can.
Sure, I'm gonna pause it at 5 seconds.
All right, I'll do the same.
Then I was thinking about going to maybe a +3 game speed.
All right, I'm ready when you are.
Okay.
And I have it set at +3 game speed. 5 seconds.
3, 2, 1, go.
Okay, did you want to maybe focus in on one particular player over the other? I think we were kind of giving UncertainCat quite a bit of attention. Maybe we could maybe focus on a keeper this time.
Sure.
So, yeah, I have to say it was very interesting opening choices. I was not expecting the 7 mass plus the 4 factories right off the bat to quite give UncertainCat the edge in the beginning of the game versus Keeper's 2 factory opening.
Yeah, and Keeper saw I believe once he saw what was coming on radar, I believe that's why he spit up the facts. There was absolutely no attempted error this game, which is definitely interesting. I think that's primarily because it was kind of a build-up of arms. They saw what the other side was doing, and both of them just kept deciding to escalate.
All right, I just want to do a time check. I'm at 2:17, 18, 19, 20.
Yep, we're synced up.
Okay. So, Keeper has 2nd factory up and a couple tanks as well, and the engineer across the north once again pushing across. And he just gets his radar up at the 3-minute mark. And he should be able to see what UncertainCat has. And that's when he moved into the center to plant his 2 factories and attempt to claim that as well. Vax, did you have perhaps any other suggestions you could have maybe I mean, granted, hindsight's always 20/20, but just anything you could possibly have added that the players might have done differently and kind of maybe how the game would have fared?
I really wanted to see Keeper spike a PD earlier by his factories. By aggressive player standards and ground player standards, he spiked a PD fairly late. We don't see it come out until after the first land war had a decisive engagement there. Right now my clock shows about 5:16, 5:17. And eventually, especially when the arty starts taking stuff out, Keeper's going to realize that he's outgunned. And I just really wanted to see him spike a PD earlier to really help give him an edge, or to at least keep Uncertain backed off.
Yeah, that first flanking attack that Uncertain did with that group of 7 tanks, I was actually, although it didn't do as much damage, any lasting damage, it did cause Keeper to pull off a lot more troops in order to hunt them down than I would have expected to have been sent after him. And I also think that drawing away as well helped Uncertain get enough troops in the front lines in order to make that decisive push right in the beginning.
Now the one approach I take different that's different than Uncertain is Uncertain was going for the land blob, which is great, but the land blob was pushed just far back enough that I would have taken a stab at the factory. I think, yep, I think I really, yeah, his land blob at about 8 minutes is pushed just far. Yeah, there we go.
All right, looks like I'm about 30 seconds behind you on the replay at the moment.
That's fine. I'll wait just a little bit.
Alright, so once again, he's pushing that initial land blobbing to see about if he can't not do more damage. UncertainCat scrambling to get more factories up online after losing the first ones. One thing I have to admit I was kind of surprised was UncertainCat never reclaimed the mass in the center of the map.
He eventually did. I saw an engineer that go in there the first time, but it does take him a while to get up there. Now, one of the things I think I would have liked to have seen from Uncertain is Keeper. What Keeper did great is he held steady. He kept his nerves the whole time. He popped the PD under the shield there, and Uncertain didn't quite push with his advantage. Instead, he opted for the Fat Boy. Which I do agree with that decision. I think that was I think that's a great way to get DPS on Keeper's side. The problem is Keeper just did everything right with the way he spent his tech.
Okay, well, looking at the game replays channel, looks like they're getting ready to start with round 3. So we are going to end this replay, and I'm going to go offline for about 5 minutes or so until we get everything established and decide who we're going to cast for round 3. So
that sounds great.
Okay.
I'll catch up with you in a little bit.
All right, see you in 5.